it going, Smile Gang? My name is Mr. Smiley, and that's right, everybody, we're getting back into another reaction video. Yes, as you see by the title, everybody, I am brand new to this SCP. I know there's a game out for it and everything too, but I'm just completely brand new. There's a lot of people that come in too, especially when I'm doing live streams. If you guys have not gone and seen the live streams, go check it out. Link in the descriptions, all that cool stuff. But everybody that comes into the live streams, or even in the video description or the comments and all that, there's a lot of people that's from SCP-022, all these different numbers. I'm like, what is this? I'm actually really curious. So I had somebody really cool, there he is right there, that commented that wanted me to come and check out this video. Apparently this is the very start of it all. As from what I know, this is actually a channel where it actually does explain it. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. This is gonna be a good one, okay? You guys ready? Sonny, he's back there, he's ready. Look at him in his glory, he's ready for it. Let's do this, everybody. Oh yes, it is time for me, Mr. Smiley, to figure out what is the SCP. Again, I know there's a game out for it and everything, so I haven't played that. Stay tuned for that. So this is gonna be cool. This is SCP-001, the database. SCP animation. From SCP Explained, story and animation. That's perfect right there. This is gonna be a spanking good one, guys. Are you guys ready for this? I believe, hopefully I am. Making sure everything's ready. Let's do this. Without any further ado, let's go.
Let's get one thing clear. As much as it is fun to go through the various articles on the SCP archive, we should take a moment to acknowledge that it's all fun and games.
Okay.
The SCP Foundation, all the entities and objects, creatures and people, places and stories related to them are just
okay, I know this thing. I know this thing right here. That's all I know from this SCP. I'm sure it's gonna explain that.
Objects, creatures and people, places and stories related to them are just that. Stories.
Okay.
Fiction created by the authors of an online wiki website.
Right.
It's all designed to be a bit of harmless entertainment.
That's awesome.
But what if it isn't harmless?
Uh-oh.
What if the characters within the world of the SCP archive somehow knew they had been created by the SCP wiki authors? What would happen if fiction was aware that it was, in fact, fictional? Ask yourself, would you want to know if your world, your life, everything you had ever seen or known was just all fantasy? If the answer is no, then
it's gonna be one of those, isn't it? It's gonna be one of those. It says everything, test your knowledge of reality. What is this whole simulation? It's just gonna be one of those things. Is it just testing the fantasy of real life?
Had ever seen or known was just all fantasy. If the answer is no, then you need to stop watching this video right now.
Let's stop. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go.
But we'll warn you, just because you don't know about something doesn't necessarily stop it from being true.
Okay.
Still want to find out what's going on?
Yes,
Good.
I would.
Then you need to hear about SCP-001.
Let's get it.
First things first. Which of the various SCP-001s are we talking about?
There's more than one?
Looking for the earliest SCP will quickly discover that there are many different entities and anomalies that share that number. There are a few in-universe reasons for this.
Yeah, what's up with the numbers? That's another thing I'm trying to figure out. Just different stories, different things. I guess I should probably watch the video and find out.
All these anomalies were discovered in the earliest days of the SCP Foundation, before their current numbering system was introduced. Then there's the other theories. For example, some have speculated that the existence of many different SCP-001s is an intentional misdirection by the Foundation, their way of keeping the nature of the first true SCP a closely guarded secret. Regardless of what the reason is, the SCP-001 we're looking at today is also known as the database. Any and all information about the database is kept secret from the entire SCP Foundation apart from the Overseer Council. And why is it such a secret? Well, that's because SCP-001 contains details of the very nature of the Foundation itself, including its creation. But we don't mean when and how the organization was founded, or its history. We mean how it was created, and by whom in our reality.
This is cool, mate. This is cool, but everybody stop everything. I gotta turn my fan on. It's freaking hot. There we go. Are you situated? Now I am. Let's do it.
Well, allow us to explain it. At first, the file for SCP-001 describes a group of humanoid entities that have the ability to influence reality. All sounds like pretty standard bread and butter stuff for the SCP Foundation, right? Wrong. These entities are, in fact, the authors of the SCP Wiki themselves, as in the people in the real world. The reality of the SCP Foundation is constantly changed by these writers, written and rewritten whenever someone edits an article on the SCP Wiki. That's all fine and harmless for us, but the Wiki author's impact on their world is cause of grave concern for the Foundation. As we mentioned at the start, we all know that the SCP Foundation and its vast catalog of user-generated articles on the creative and the creepy are nothing more than a source of fictional online entertainment.
That's why we don't trust what's on the internet. Guys, there's a lot of stuff on the internet people put out and everything too, but it's fun. It's harmless fun of like, yeah, you know, oh, this is cool, making this thing, but yeah, like they said, what if it gets out of hand, does different things? I like it. Let's go.
The creepy are nothing more than a source of fictional online entertainment. It can be fun to study the lore and the nuances of the different SCPs. It can be enjoyable appreciating the creativity and hard work that the authors put into writing them. In the case of fanfiction, independent stories, original SCPs, or even animated videos dedicated to explaining them. It can even inspire and fuel our own written endeavors. But at the end of the day, when all is said and done, we all know that the SCP Foundation is purely fictional.
Right.
What we don't realize is that the Foundation knows it too. Containing several pieces of information from within their own archive, the database contains everything the Foundation knows about our real world. This includes everything about the real authors of the SCP Wiki. And you thought Deadpool was meta. You see, because the SCP Wiki has articles from numerous different creative writers, chances are the details of every new article might not always line up with every previous one. For a long time, there has been much discussion amongst devoted SCP fans regarding the canon of the website. Now, we don't mean a big gun that launches metal balls. When we say canon, we mean all of the events and stories that are considered to be an official part of the ongoing story of the SCP
like the
Foundation.
Original.
Still with us so far? Because there are so many writers and articles on the wiki, the canon of the SCP archive is a bit inconsistent to say the least. And that's fine for us, because we know none of it is real. It doesn't have to all line up, just as long as a good story is being told. But these inconsistencies, all the little cracks of discrepancy and disparity, are what made the Foundation themselves realize that they are truly living in a fiction. In other words, SCP-001 is the SCP Foundation's window through what we would experience as the fourth wall. The fourth wall is the metaphorical barrier that separates what we know to be real from what we know to be purely fiction. In other words, it's the line between the audience and the fiction that they are watching, the edge of the stage or the glass of the television screen. And the SCP Foundation is staring through that fourth wall, looking out at you and me. That's right. It isn't just the authors that the Foundation are aware of. It's all of us. According to their own researchers, the Foundation has determined that we, the audience, and the writers exist in something known as the alpha layer. What on earth is an alpha layer? Well, imagine our reality. The world and the universe as we know it is a slice of bread. It's a strange analogy, we know, but stick with us. Now picture the fictional world of the SCP Foundation as another slice of bread underneath ours. In between the two can be whatever you like. But the point isn't that the world is a sandwich. The point is that we exist on a layer of reality above that of the SCP Wiki, and the filling is just what keeps reality and fiction separate. So as we mentioned, the Foundation is aware of any writers and readers of the SCP Wiki, and this does include you.
Oh, this is so wild, mate, just thinking about it. I'm sorry if I'm pausing so much, but mate, if you think about it though, like the fourth wall and stuff, it's really interesting. I like I said, I thought it was like, is this all like just one big thing? I'll get more into it at the end and all that though, but that's pretty crazy. Thinking like testing what is what, you know, is this all, you know?
But the wiki authors are the SCP Wiki, and this does include you. But the wiki authors are the primary focus of the database. After all, it's the writers who are responsible for creating the fictional world that the SCP Foundation exists in. anything that forms a part of the narrative of that world. Every article, every tale, every new SCP that gets published, even parts of the wiki that get taken down or rewritten, all have an impact on the Foundation's universe. When the authors link their new SCPs to pre-existing ones, or create connections to a group of interest like the Church of the Broken God or the Global Occult Coalition, their writing ends up making even more of a substantial development to the overall narrative. And all of it ends up in the database. The readers of the SCP Wiki, on the other hand, are a smaller part of Scp-001, mainly because they do not write or publish the content found on the website itself. Anything that is not specifically set in stone by a wiki author can be interpreted in various ways by a reader. A reader's interpretation is a powerful concept and should not be underestimated. Interpretation is the difference between reading Animal Farm as a story about a group of animals rebelling against their human farmer, and understanding it as a satirical and political allegory for the events leading up to the Russian Revolution. So what does interpretation have to do with SCP-001? The point we are getting at is that any unwritten detail or anything that isn't explicitly stated by a wiki author can be changed by a reader's own imagination. This can be anything, from the appearance or personality of an SCP or character, to a detail about the world of the Foundation. And in the same vein, if something in one SCP article contradicts something written in another, the reader is free to choose which of them they accept as part of the universe's true canon. Each reader of the SCP Wiki has their own understanding of the material written there, and inevitably comprehends their own version of the events within. And this is something that the SCP Foundation, even in their world of fiction, is aware of. Or more specifically, the O5 Council is aware of. You see, the secretive overseers are the only ones with any true knowledge of SCP-001. Only they can access the database. Only they know the truth. The fact that they exist in this fictional capacity is something the Overseer Council hopes to hide from the rest of the Foundation's personnel. In an effort to keep the rest of their staff from asking too many questions, the Council has told them that there is currently no way in existence that they could possibly contain SCP-001. But to reassure personnel, the O5s have also stated that this does not pose any risk, nor would it lead to the total and utter destruction of their observable fictional universe. Instead, the Council aims to focus on what they can control by containing any and all information about SCP-001. Nothing about the database or the truth that it contains is to ever leave O5 Command under any circumstances whatsoever. All of the information about SCP-001, or what it contains, is kept in an encrypted, highly classified form at an unknown location. The key needed to decrypt this data is a passcode split into 3 parts. This key is then memorized by members of the O5 Council, each memorizing a different portion of the passcode. It can only be accessed if every member of the Council unanimously agrees that it is absolutely necessary. And even when they do decrypt the information about SCP-001, it remains for the eyes of O5 Command, and strictly their eyes only. Any member of the SCP Foundation caught leaking data about SCP-001 is to be contained by any means necessary. This also includes if a member of personnel attempts to get this classified information out via espionage, psychic leakage, or other devious methods. Foundation researchers are even banned from conducting any of their own investigations into the nature of SCP-001 or the data it contains. If a lower-level staff member was somehow to find out the truth, that the entire Foundation is just a fiction, then that person would be at the mercy of the most senior figure on the O5 Council. It would be up to that senior figure to decide the staff member's fate. Anyone with high enough clearance or status within the Foundation who found out about SCP-001 would alternatively be given a Class A amnestic. These are memory-altering drugs that the SCP Foundation uses to keep information about anomalies a secret, apparently even from its own staff. Still, having your mind wiped has got to be better than being killed or contained, just for realizing you're a fictional character on an online wiki. The O5 Council has plans in mind for us, and for the SCP Wiki writers responsible for creating them. The SCP Wiki entry on the database closes with a proposal, a way that the O5 Council can reach out of their fiction directly to the Wiki's authors in the real world. From there, their goal is simple. Through memetic kill agents, the SCP Foundation will put the wiki authors to sleep and then kill them. Sounds pretty far-fetched, doesn't it? After all, when was the last time something fictional killed someone in our real world? Even more bizarre, what if this kill agent really exists? The O5 Council must have known for a while that their world is fictional, so they've had plenty of time to develop a kill agent, some way of reaching us and the SCP wiki authors in the real world. Worse still, what if this kill agent is already out there somewhere, lurking on the SCP archive, just waiting for you to find it? And if you read it, how would it kill you? If you don't want to know, then that's your choice to make. But if curiosity is getting the better of you, then remember this. Beware SCP-001.
No, nah, bruh, nah. There's a lot of reasons why I'm not gonna get into. 9.
To continue the story, go check out the last SCP, SCP-5999, This Is Where I Died. And for more information on SCP-001, go check out SCP-001, which is...
That's bruh. That's just a lot. That's just a lot to take in. What did you do to me, man? What did I just watch, yo? Okay, and this is the thing. It's actually a pretty good thing here. So from what I took away from this is like, yeah, it's its own thing. People can make stories. So they have like the original like stories. People can go in and alternate them. It's like, what can you tell is what the original thing is and what someone made up and all that. It's like Wikipedia. You can go to Wikipedia right now and you can change stuff. There's even stuff you can go to like websites, bro. And you can access the code in the websites and have like a temporary, like you can do, like type whatever you want to type and all that. And it'd be like on a website if you know how to get into it, but that's hacking. I don't know anything about hacking. But anyways, anybody can make up anything. That's why you don't believe anything and everything on the internet. I wouldn't say anything, but you know, a lot of people can go in and alter them. But bro, the fact that like they got people out there swiping memories, yo, again, like they said, like it's a fictional thing, but like inside of it, the fictional characters know it's fictional too. That's just messing with my head, man. That's just messing with me. It's just begging for me to be like, what in the world is more with this? And I get there's like just different articles, different things, but bro, that 5999, no thanks, mate. No thanks. I don't know, man. If I get so many, like I'm talking properly 10 people to comment to watch that, I will do it. I need 10 comments saying you better watch the 5999. If you know 10 people, or if you know 9, if you're one of them and you know 9 people to come up in here and comment, I will do it. If I get 10 comments, I'll watch it. I'm sure it's not nothing crazy, but still, it's something that messes with your imagination from like the real world to what you're like experiencing. So it's super interesting. It's super fun. I get it. It's all a thing. It's fictional, but it's just fun. You know, like a lot of people love to go into these type of things and have a good story, man. That's what makes a good story. Stuff that like it's super real, like real to believe and all that though, man. That's cool. That's a pretty cool one. So that was my first take on SCP-001. Apparently there's more 001s. I thought that was like the legit first one. This one was the database, so that's just kind of showing how it all kind of ties together there, but I'm sure there's a lot more into it, man. There's a lot more. I know this video was highly requested because I've seen so many people come up in here. SCP number, you know? I'm just like, yo, I'm just like, I want to know more, you know? Like, am I missing out on some of the greatest things that can happen, you know, on YouTube or whatever, you know? Like, sexual, like, thing. But it's so cool. So, that was my takeaway. Pretty cool. Okay. You know, there's a lot of them. Like, 55-minute long, full story compilation. That's insane, bro. This is cool. This is pretty cool. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Mr. Smiley. Also, guys, if you want to go and check out on Discord, all the cool stuff on there, too. I was going to say this real quick before the video ends. If you guys are coming to my Discord, make sure, guys, and I'm gonna put this on its own video and everything too. I know this is towards the end of the video. If you stick around, you know what's up. But all the people that's coming in on the Discord, we've been getting some funny stuff happening and stuff like that too. So, like, guys, if you come in and there's spams, anything like that, you're gone. You're gone. There's no warning, nothing like that. So, guys, make sure if you're coming and joining the Discord, which I highly recommend, you can come chat with the community. It's super awesome. But if you come in and there's like hackers and stuff like that, spammers, anything, it's like, man, we want to make it a fun, safe community where everybody can have a good time. Coming in and doing that stuff, man, no one's enjoying it but you, mate. And it's just, no, man, don't do that. Be cool, mate. Be cool. But anyways, all this stuff is in the description, as well as Twitch. So if you want to come, check it out. If you have a Twitch, you want to share some love over there, come check it out. My name is Mr. Smiley. Thank you guys so much for coming and tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know what else to react to. It's going to be a great one, mate. It's a great one. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one. My name is Mr. Smiley, and we'll see you guys. Bye.